Hello, good evening everybody. Welcome to my second video on the Scottish Regional List voting system for the 2016 election held in Scotland. This video is going to be running some simulations based on different scenarios. I've called it the what ifs, but it's a follow-up to my first video which explained the DAUNT system on how the list allocation voting is calculated and how the seats are allocated to each of the parties. If you haven't seen that video yet, I would recommend watching that before this one because it will make you a bit more familiar with the spreadsheet and the numbers that I've used in that video, which I'm going to use again for this follow-up vid. So the simulations I'm going to be performing tonight. I'm going to execute a clawback of list 2 votes from Greens. So we're going to take 35% back off the Greens of their total votes for the list 2 vote, and I'm going to snap 15% off the others back to the SNP. That's my first simulation. My second simulation is similar, but it's going to be higher percentages. I'm going to take 55% off the Greens, and then I'm going to take 20% off the others. And we'll see the effect on all these parties, the Greens and the others, and obviously the SNP, and in percentages when I do this. Additionally, I'm going to run these two simulations, which I've kind of manifested from the conversations that have taken place on Facebook and a follow-up to my first video was people asking me, well, what would have happened if all the SNP list 2 voters had actually opted for Greens 100%? So it's unlikely that would ever happen, but it gives an idea close to the 100% what would the impact have been if all the list 2 voters for the SNP had went to Greens. And then similar to scenario 3, 4 is similar in that SNP, all the voters are going to vote for somebody else, and well, I'm going to split it between the Greens and the another Indie party, which may appear on the ballot paper. So I've been asked to kind of produce these last two simulations, so that's what I intend to do, and let you see the impact on what happens. Before I do, just one other thing I want to do is I want to just cover my source of data that I've been asked about. So I've been pulling the data from the website, the Electoral Commission, which is freely available at the electoralcommission.org.uk. It has a lot of data on there on a number of elections in the UK dating back a number of years. There are a couple of links here to an XLS spreadsheet and also in a CSV format, which you can freely download. This little bit here I've highlighted in blue has the details of the percentages of the party's votes in the list voting. If you take a note of these tie in exactly with the percentages that I will be displaying on my spreadsheet when we kick off the baseline from 2016. So I'll remember to highlight these figures to you when we get back to the spreadsheet. They round it up to 1 decimal place. I'm a little bit accurate and I have my figures at 2 decimal places, but I still produce exactly the same results. So without any further ado, we're going to carry out these simulations. It shouldn't take long. So for those of you who remember the first video, you'll recognise a spreadsheet in terms of the number of votes allocated, the constituency votes, which will remain fixed during these simulations because I'm only using the quota of the votes that were voted by the SNP for vote 2. I'm not making any assumptions on anything other than the fact that this will stay fixed because the vote 2 has no implication on vote 1. So these will remain the same. Down here gives you the percentage split of the vote 2 allocation. So that's not the same percentage that was shown you earlier on the Electoral Commission website. This is the percentages here, which is a percentage of the total party's votes to the total number of the electorate, the number of votes counted. And that gives you these percentages which are on the website. So here, you'll remember this, the DAUNT system and how they allocated the seats, 7 rounds per region, and I explained to you how the starting position for each of the parties changed, their coefficient changed, which is their divisor, depending on how many seats they won in the constituency vote. Again, I'm not going to go through that in this video because I've done that already. If you want a recap, please visit my first video on how the, the seats are allocated using the DONT method, or the DONT method, as I've been told that's what it's called. Okay, so no further ado, let's have a look at the simulations. So I'm going to take 35% from greens, as I said, and 15% from others. The swing, before I do so, this is an idea of the swing I'm creating, an additional 2% to the SNP for the Central Scotland, an additional 4% for the Glasgow region. So there's a variance of percentages here from 1.83 up to 4.16 across the 8 regions. So let's take the values and let's put them into the spreadsheet and see what happens. So there we go. So having a look at the top right hand here, we've got SNP majority of -1, Indy majority of 9. Let's do the vote count for these new 2 percentages, and we get a change. We now have an SNP majority of 1, and we have an Indy majority of 5. So we've lost 4, a count of 4 in Indy majority, but we have gained an SNP majority. The seats gained have been 1 in the west of Scotland and 1 in Lothian, if you look here. So we've gained 1 seat in the Lothian, 1 seat in the west of Scotland. If I take you back, as I said, so that the West Lothian, where was that again? Where we getting the seats? West of Scotland, sorry, and Lothian. So West of Scotland was a 4% swing to the SNP in terms of votes coming back, and sorry, that was the Lothian, a swing of 4%, and the West of Scotland 1.83. So only 1.8 swing to West Scotland, and we managed to gain a seat in the list vote. Just to explain to you, I didn't go over this. The other parties, by the way, are this lot here. I'm not familiar with all their names, but they did accumulate in total 55,000 votes between them. So that's the number I'm taking back. So 15% from the others in this first simulation is only around 8,000 votes. Okay, so it's not like a big large swathe of votes I'm taking from the others. So second simulation, 55% from greens, 20% from the others. There's the swing margins there. Again, not massive, ranging from 2.83 up to 6.33%. So let's cut and paste these values. I want to copy that, and let's run them through the spreadsheet. So let's paste them in here. Okay, let's get ready for the vote count. So we now have an SNP majority of 7 and an Indy majority of 7. So the SNP have again gained more seats. We've actually gained another seat in Lothian. I think we've gained a seat in the Highlands and Islands, if I'm correct. And have we gained a seat in Glasgow? I think we have as well. So we've gained now 68 seats, the SNP. We've got an SNP majority of 7, and we've got an Indy majority of 7. So we haven't gone back up to the Indy majority of 9. We're still behind on that in terms of the Indy footprint, but we're only 2 behind in there. But we do have the bonus of the SNP now having quite a larger majority and a mandate in the House. Just to recap, it didn't take a lot to do that. It only took a 3% swing, 6%, 4%. They're not massive. If you look at these percentages here, these percentages are nothing compared to what's getting polled at the moment for the election in Scotland, especially the independence polling as well. But I gather that from what I gather from the polling, where the SNP for independence is around about 50-55%. In some regions it could be even higher. But I mean, we're only looking at between 41 and 51%. And even at these figures, it is still enough for the SNP to garner a majority of 7 in the House. Okay, I'm going to quickly move on to these final 2 simulations. I'm going to allocate all of the SNP list 2 votes to the Greens. Okay, so as you can see, there are 0 votes for the SNP, and it's quite a massive change for the Greens. So let's see what the implications of that would be in an election. So I'm going to post these figures over. And then let's run the vote count. Well, these are big numbers. Obviously, there's a hit with the SNP because they've lost all of their list seats. So originally they had 63 in the 2016 election. They've now lost that 4, so they've now went back down to 59. But the Indy majority has gone up to a massive, massive 63. 63. That is huge. Now, bear in mind, I've said here that it's very unlikely that is ever going to happen. But I have allocated 100%. That is everybody who voted for SNP in the vote to list in 2016. If they had opted to all vote for Greens, we'd be sitting in a majority, in the majority of 63 in the House. Now, what would be the implications be if that happened again, but the split was actually over 2 parties? Well, again, I can deliver that scenario for you. Oh, that didn't quite copy. Let's do that again. Bear with me. Always a technical glitch when I do my video. So I've copied these percentages over, and it's split over 2 parties now. INDYP party here. I've just used the same column as the UKIP, and the Tory party here. So I'm now going to hit the vote count. Now it actually has gone down by 2. So in splitting the vote over 2 parties rather than just focusing on the one, we've lost 2 in the majority count. The Greens have 119. The INDY party, that should say INDY party up there. So the INDY party have 117. Greens have 119. Still the same for SNP, so they're still at -11 in the majority. So it kind of suggests that splitting the vote does have an impact rather than just focusing on one party. That's kind of obvious because the more votes that one party has got, the longer they're going to stay in contention within the DONT system for gaining seats. So if you dilute the vote in between 2 parties, it kind of suggests you're going to lose some seats. So there you have it. I told you it'd be nice and quick. I hope it's created some sort of discussion for you. Feel free to contact me on a message board with any of these results that I've delivered for you tonight. And I will be doing one more video, but probably later on this year when we start getting some regional polls for 2021. For my intention is to use the regional polls to simulate these polling figures on the 2016 election again, with the intention of having a look at what the impact would have been on the constituency vote. And on top of that, using my previous simulations, what might have been the forecast for the regional 2 vote list allocation. I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys are too. Hoping I've bored you too much with my spreadsheets, but thanks for watching and catch you later. Bye bye.